Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be looking at seasonal affective disorder, otherwise known as SAD. Now it's that time of the year again, October. The evenings are starting to get shorter, the mornings are starting to get darker. For me, it's just my worst time of the year and I do suffer from SAD. Have done since probably my teenage years. And it's only recently in the last few years that I've actually decided to do a bit of research around it and see if there's anything that I can do that is going to help me cope with the symptoms of SAD. So in this video, I just want to explain a little bit about what is SAD, what are some of the causes of SAD, and then I'm going to give you a couple of ideas and tips of things that I actually do to help me to cope with this time of the year. So I've suffered from seasonal affective disorder for years, and do you know what? Over the years I never really paid much attention. All I knew was that I dreaded every winter coming, and I just got low. I felt depressed. I would hibernate, and I just felt miserable usually. And for me, it started in October and it ended once New Year came. When New Year's Day arrived, I felt I'm on the home straight. We're heading for springtime. So that made me feel so much better. Once I got Christmas over, I was fine. But it was only until a couple of years ago that I decided that I was actually going to do a bit of reading up around SAD to see if there's anything that I actually could do about it. Because I just thought, I just don't enjoy winter, so who does? But then I talked to some people and they said, yeah, I do. I love winter. I love this feeling of coziness and everything else, which I couldn't understand. But so then I decided I would do some research around it. And then I put into practice some of the strategies that I found were helpful for me. And they really, really did make a difference. So apparently over half of the population would say that their moods were worse in the wintertime. And while the exact causes of SAD are not fully understood, there are definitely certain things that do have an impact on our moods during the autumn and the winter time. When bright light enters our eyes, serotonin is produced, which is our happy hormone that affects our mood, our appetite and sleep. As daylight fades, serotonin production stops and we start to produce melatonin, which is our hormone that signals that it's time for us to go to sleep. SAD is thought to be linked with our reduced exposure to natural sunlight during the autumn and the winter days, causing our circadian rhythm, which is the 24-hour clock that regulates how we function during sleeping and waking hours, to become off balance. This can mean that our body may not produce the hormones needed to help us wake up and feel active, which leads to tiredness and depression. So that's why a lot of people would use light boxes. So I have never actually used one myself, but I know a lot of people who would use them. So those are just light boxes that give off really lovely rays, and people would sit in front of it for maybe half an hour in the morning just to help them to feel much better. One of the really interesting things that I was reading about, even just recently this year, was in terms of that there was a correlation between people who are high in sensitivity and the experience of SAD. And that's sensitivity to our senses, to our sight, our hearing, our taste, our touch. Sensitivity is one of the characteristics of our temperament. And I know that I am very high in sensitivity. So for example, in the summertime, I hear the birds singing and I just love that sound. I smell the grass. I see the sunshine and the brightness, and that just really, really fills me. In wintertime, I see the darkness and that makes me feel horrible. I look at the leaves on the tree. I look at the trees and the leaves are gone and that makes me feel sad. So I know that I'm very tuned in to my senses and I'm highly sensitive. So I have to be really careful that I don't allow myself to go into that nostalgic place of wishing it was summer again and thinking about the summer, that just makes me feel worse. I must say last year was the best year that I had. And I think partly because I was more aware, because I'd done some research around it, so I was much more aware of the things that I needed to do. And I had to make the effort to do these things. So I'm going to share just some of the things that I put into practice, which I really find helpful and has really helped me to cope with the ongoing causes of SAD, which probably will never go away. So one of the key things for me is light. And that, I mean, if I talk to anybody who has SAD, they would say exactly the same. It's the exposure to light is really, really important. And while I never had a light box, I would make sure that my house is well lit. We have a little sunroom that I can sit in, and I would use it all year round. So for me, light is really important in the house. We've decorated in lighter tones, so there's no sort of dark colours that would make me feel oppressed. So keeping your environment, keeping your home, and even just your garden, making sure there's no trees that are blocking sunlight and stuff like that is really, really helpful. And I find that so helpful. So my environment is really, really important. Exercise is really, really important to me. So I make sure that I get out every single day. I walk maybe 2-3 times a day. I would take the dog out for a couple of walks, and then I would go out on my own for maybe a 3 to 4 mile walk. That's good for me and really, really important for me. And especially in the winter time, no matter if it's raining, no matter if it's freezing cold, I will make sure that I get out at least once a day for a walk. So it exposes me to the light. It's also healthy for me. It's a time where I can think and process things. So all in all, a walk is what I really enjoy and what I will constantly do every single day. So during the winter time, I am probably more aware of what I'm eating, and I'm probably a little bit more disciplined in my diet. I naturally would eat salads and greens and vegetables and things like that. And a couple of years ago, I decided to cut out bread completely because I think I'm probably gluten intolerant. So that made a huge difference to my diet. I lost probably about 1.5 stone, and I've managed to keep that weight level even through the winter time. So diet is really, really important for me, and it's about not snacking at night time. Of course, I allow myself a bag of crisps or whatever, but not sitting in front of the TV and filling my face full of rubbish. One of the other things that I would do in coming into this time of year now, October, is to make sure that I have a plan in place or a project that I can do over the winter time, even that would tie me over to New Year. So for example, it could be a DIY project, something that I want to make, something that I want to do in the house, or just anything at all, maybe to do some sewing or whatever it is, some creative thing, because I am a creative person. So having a project for me is really, really important. Something that I can get my teeth into, something that is of interest to me, something that is fun to do. And that really, really helps me over the winter period. I know that I have to really be careful at this time of year. Even just the things that I listen to, I have to try and put myself in a place where I'm around positive people, where I'm listening to more positive stuff. So at the moment, I'm not listening to the news at all. My husband filters stuff through to me, the stuff that I need to know. Otherwise, I will not watch the news. I will not get involved in any conversation that is negative. I don't need to know. I don't need to put those things into my mind at the moment. And that's one of the protective factors that I definitely put in place for me at this time of the year. I know that I have a less coping ability to deal with anything oppressive. So I choose not to watch the news at the moment, and I probably won't watch it all winter. So those are some of the strategies that I have used to get me through the winter period. You know, I hope that some of them have been helpful for you. You know, there's not a one size fits all because we are all different as individuals, so different things will apply to different people. I know that it was helpful for me to address it and to understand myself better and to have just that little bit of insight into what is it that affects me through this time of year. So what about you? I mean, I'd love to hear in the comments below, you know, do you suffer from SAD? What are some of the symptoms that you do get? What are some of the strategies that you use? Maybe you could share some of those with us, which would be really, really helpful. So that's all that I have for today. I hope it has been helpful for you. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video, and I will see you on the next one. Okay, so bye for now.